Hey everybody, I've just had my second experience of live web TV. This one with Jeff Pulver and the folks at Blog TV, Nir and the friends there. So that's my second one. I had one yesterday with Pomcast, which tried to do it using an iSight video conference room, which was projected then live into Ustream, which I did not record, but this time I recorded it, so I wanted to let you have a feeling of it. Thanks to Jeff, Nir and everybody for the experience. Let's do it again soon. And what was very interesting to me is to try to understand whether people will rather like to see this live and there will be a higher audience live, or higher audience than on the archive stored. I bet it's going to be stored more than seen live, but the interaction is very interesting. We are clearly paving new ways here with live web TV. So I let you have a look. Thanks again, Jeff and everybody, and for the experience, and Nir and the Blog TV team for the technology. Very interesting. Looking forward to do host one myself. I liked very much the co-host option.
Helping us because we're getting the processors down to the point where anyone's video platform seems to, computers are good enough for this to work on good enough. We have the broadband there, and it's going to be up to someone else to figure out how to connect these dots. But I think it's pretty amazing that on any given Tuesday we can have a live transatlantic conversation between friends, and I think that's something that's much different this year than a couple of years ago.
Well, but I also think his point about a lot of the things are boring is kind of the YouTube phenomena and stuff like that, and I think it's about how interesting you are to yourself, and also the niche audience that might be interested in what you have to say. I think a lot of people are just kind of grabbing for straws, so to speak. They're trying to find out, they're there, but they don't know why they're there, and they're just experimenting, which is great. I think that's how you learn things.
Well, and I also think that as these shows start to adopt certain production values that other people who have shows have always accepted. I mean, the thing is, like, you look at IPTV and you look at cable TV and you look at broadcast TV, the thing is that when someone's introducing an IPTV platform to compete with cable and broadcast, everyone knows what to expect. It's because it's what they grew up with. And the thing is, like it or not, the best of what we have available in front of us today is going to be the worst of maybe cable access or something else, because we're not there yet. I mean, we just have a little skeleton's budget with a small studio. We have no true super graphics, although Andy is using a borrowed video mixer, and we're really proud about that. And we can start to have blue screens and green screens behind us, but it's going to take time.
But it's what we have to say that really matters. It's the content that carries,
I know,
that makes people interested.
But if you're just worried about content, why aren't you writing this? Why are you speaking it? Why
You do write it in your blog.
I know, but right now we're live, right? So why aren't we taking advantage of the video platform?
Right.
I mean, frankly, two people sitting behind a table in front of a black screen with a friend in Paris may not be the most effective way to use this technology.
Well, but we're exploring. This is new to both of us in many ways.
It's true, but I do agree that, yes, we could become really boring, really fast. Part of what we had tried to do, so in the past, the other broadcasts we've experimented with, we've had in-studio audience that we found at times to be a little intimidating, and we've actually had guests come on. And
he's over here.
The guest.
No,
he's over there.
My guy is over here.
That's imaginary friend.
That's my imaginary friend.
But the thing is that we have an opportunity to. How are people calling me if they don't even know that I'm here? But we have the opportunity to really do a lot of different things, and so it's just going to be a matter of time, I think, to really get with the swing of it. But I think that we can at least be as good as other live TV shows, but we have to take this medium seriously, and I think that's part of the seriousness of why we're in the studio today, is to show that while some people can broadcast live in their apartments or live in their garages, or live in their walking around shopping malls, which I thought with Steve Garfield was terrific. Taking it to a studio, taking it to your office, and trying to really take advantage of the moment, I thought was something kind of cool. Please.
Pico, great co-host.
A feature for you guys at Web TV from Positive Memories to add is
your co-host wants to add something, like click the button for no, and don't take me wrong here. I was not saying I was bored with March Forever. I think it's a risk. So I think that something that could be interesting we can see on the future of those two is the connection between live and offline. So I guess this show will then be posted. I think you're doing that. So people will continue commenting and viewing it, right? So I would be interested to get your thoughts on how you see the connection to like live and then offline commenting and how you take it to the next show.
I think that's an interesting point because sometimes we forget that there is a life after, and my guy is over here, by the way.
Over there.
But we have these. But I agree with you. I think the offline and the online is a very interesting thing, and that this is just the beginning in the conversation and thoughts that I always believe that a theater piece or an art piece really doesn't begin until after you leave the theater. Because then you're confronted with the thoughts and you're reliving it and you see something that lives on. I always think if something's really interesting, you'll continue that.
Now I might add that this show actually, as soon as it's saved, has an RSS feed associated with it. So people could, over time, subscribe to the RSS, and of course people could always comment here. And once we figure out what it is that we're doing, being able to continue the conversation, into the blogosphere is always an interesting opportunity. I think the whole idea of being able to keep a show alive and not make it static, gets to be really cool. And the nice thing is that this hasn't really been done like this before, so we don't really know how it's going to happen. But I think that any way that we can tag it and invite other people to share their thoughts, the better. And I think that this is a sculpture that hasn't yet necessarily been sculpted yet. But we're just dealing with very raw materials, and we're at a time when we'll know what happens in the future. But right now, I think it's up to everybody who wants to experiment with live personal TV broadcasting platforms to start to figure this stuff out for themselves.
Yeah, and I would suggest that anybody who's interested in something, if you're passionate about something,
do it.
Do it. I mean, and there are people out there who might be living in your skin and you don't know it. Who might have some.
Yeah, well, the nice thing is the next time you have an argument in your blog or a conversation, you can go live and bring those people in, and you be the host, and you drag your friends over and join the conversation. Then you could talk in front of a global audience. And the beautiful thing is that other than the cost of your time, there's no other cost associated with broadcasting, which is really a different way of approaching a lot of this.
And it also gives you a chance to express yourself. I mean, Jeff and I are friends, so we're comfortable with each other, and maybe find somebody you're comfortable with. And years ago, I wanted to do a film about the commonplace, the little things that we do as human beings, just kind of a self-portrait of who we are. But so even the simplest things often become very revealing, very interesting.
Let's head it back to Luke so he doesn't have to press the mute button right now.
Oh, okay. Mute. Luke, yeah. Luke, any thoughts?
No, I was also wondering, because I'm doing about format podcasts and not forget the videos, and if I look at the audience, very interesting to see that two-thirds of the audience, which is about 5,000 per day, are coming from views on my blog, and 1/3 being downloaded from iTunes, for iPod, right? So I'm very curious about the split on before you do split, you see more web views than downloads on podcasts. How much for live will that be? You see what I mean? It's is the live going to take 60% or 70% of the audience, or is the offline going to be more than that? What do you think?
I think it's a very interesting question, and I think that the answer is really a function of the dynamic of the content of the show and who the viewing demographic is. For people who, every day download new shows to their iPods, I think that you'll see a growing trend of more and more people over time subscribing to your show and other shows. As far as the live moments, I think that, this might be something which is, live internet shows will continue to happen. But the nice thing about RSS and about iTunes and being able to download is that other people who are busy right now because they're in a meeting or they're sleeping or they're eating or doing something they deem to be more important will be able to join the conversation, albeit after it ended, but at least see what we had to say. And as far as the blend of it, I think that if you and I or you and your friends create a monumental event that deserves to have 5,000 or 10,000 or 500,000 people to watch it at that moment, then you can have a great live event of the moment. But if it turns out that we only get 100 people to watch the show, but 50,000 people to download it, that's not a bad use of time either. So I think it's really a balance between people who like to be with the content as it's happening and be part of it and be engaged. Perhaps, we've at times have had live callers join our show besides having a co-host. And I think it's just a different part of the experience. And, when people actually do these live shows in advance and list the content